A Mackinac moment. Please welcome U.S. Representative Hailey Stevens.
Well, hello, everyone. I'm Congresswoman Hailey Stevens, proudly in my third term representing Oakland County in the U.S. Congress. And for this term, I got a very interesting assignment. I was asked to serve on the Select Committee on Strategic Competition between the United States and the Chinese Communist Party. And over the last year and a half, 10 Democrats and 12 Republicans have come together to meet with business leaders, academics, government officials, to have respectful dialogue, to come up with ideas and solutions on how best to position the United States of America. And don't just take my word for it. From the Wall Street Journal to the Washington Post, they declared this committee the bipartisan bright light in a particularly contentious Congress. We can clap for that. And so the three goals that we have reached over the last year and a half that I'd like to share with you is, one, the United States needs to reset its relationship with the Chinese Communist Party. Secondly, we need to restructure how we do business with the Chinese Communist Party to protect American interests and bolster our workforce. And then three, we need to look at how to reinvest at home and with our allies abroad. So resetting our relationship with the Chinese Communist Party. We know that we have a nearly $370 billion trade deficit with China. Here in the state of Michigan, we have China as our third largest export destination, and yet China makes 2/3 of electric vehicle batteries while we only make 10%. 98% of critical minerals are not only refined, but processed in China. This is a wake-up moment for us because they are using state-owned enterprises to control industries of scale. And this is why I've been very pleased to work alongside President Biden on his Invest in America agenda, but also a national security package, standing alongside our allies from Israel to Ukraine to Taiwan, pushing back on Chinese aggression in the South Chinese Sea. And then it's not just working with our allies, but it's also standing up for democracy, pushing back on autocracy. And with this ongoing reset, we can't just work with allies. We also have to look at how we restructure how we do business as the United States of America. And this is why I was really pleased, along with my work on the Select Committee, I'm on the Science, Space, and Technology Committee, and we worked with our great universities to say that, hey, we want to have an open knowledge economy and make sure that we have the best R&D and research practices going along. But if we're working with countries of concern, we can't give away the whole store. So we've got to make sure that we're not giving away U.S. secrets or intellectual property, which I know so many in our business community, from the small to the mid-sized to the large, struggle with. You saw that Congress passed and the president signed into law a bill that says China is not going to continue to own TikTok. We're going to force a sale. It was a little controversial. My phone lines were blowing up. People were talking about entrepreneurship. The kids were wondering what we were doing in Congress. It's not that we don't want TikTok. We need reciprocity, because when our manufacturers go over to China, they're forced to do what? They're forced to sell. And that is what we're doing with our TikTok legislation. And I'm looking at that across industries of scale, because China's investing right here in the United States of America. They're buying up our land, they're buying up our food manufacturers, and sometimes we're not necessarily looking at not only the national security interests, but the economic security interests of that as well. You also recently saw that the president just announced tariffs on Chinese electric vehicles. China is now the largest exporter of vehicles in the world. This is a wake-up moment for us here in Michigan. We now have 100% tariffs on EVs. We also have tariffs on their critical minerals, which is going to be another call to action for us here in the United States of America and in Congress to act. And it's not just the complete picture. Tariffs alone won't push back on a strategy that we need to have to tackle this grand challenge with the CCP. And that's why, my friends, we need to reinvest. You just heard our Secretary of Commerce talk about the great CHIPS legislation that I was so pleased to work alongside her and with my colleagues in Congress, from Gary Peters to Dan Kildee and Debbie Dingell, and of course Alyssa Slotkin. We were all on board. Pass the CHIPS Act. We were saying it a year prior. My friends, $52 billion the government has invested to see chip manufacturing come back into the United States of America alongside our great union workforces. But that $52 billion was met within its first quarter after being signed into law by $200 billion of private sector capital contributions. That is American industrial policy in action. And so why stop now? I just mentioned our minerals challenges. We can take that same framework to reinvest, not only here in our country, because we've also, if we're gonna do minerals and mining, that's gonna be permitting reform, and trade, friendshoring and working alongside our allies. Yes, this is a national charge, a national call to action, which surprisingly and hopefully is continuing to bring together people from all sides of the political spectrum, not just in the United States Congress, but in the communities that we call home. But my friends, we are in the center of this here in Michigan. It's not just our auto industry, it's our workforce, it's our coordination, it's our ability to collaborate and bring in our state partners along with our local entities. President Truman rightfully declared that America is not built on fear. America is built on courage, determination, and the willingness to do the job at hand. We know the job that we need to do. We need to stand up for our supply chain. We need to bring small businesses into the conversation. We need to make sure that we have trade policies that are working for every single one of us. And we need to not be afraid to brag about who we are as Michiganders and manufacturing leaders. Thank you so very much.
Masco Corporation is proud to deliver products that enhance the way consumers all over the world experience and enjoy their living spaces. Masco, serving Michigan communities since 1929.
Support also provided by the Cynthia and Edsel Ford Fund for Journalism at Detroit PBS.
DTE Foundation is a proud sponsor of Detroit PBS. Among the state's largest foundations committed to Michigan-focused giving, we support organizations that are doing exceptional work in our state. Learn more at dtefoundation.com.
We help organizations find their voices through what they do and who they impact. We are VVK PR and Creative, a Detroit agency telling the stories of critical issues affecting the big picture and the small moments. Stories at Skyline Heights and on-the-ground influence. We lead with relationships first, solutions always, and with diversity as our compass. VVK PR and Creative.
Nissan Foundation, and viewers like you.